When I can't think of a word, it gets assigned a word by my brain.
Meanwhile, I would jump back and be all startled and probably unsettled for the rest of the evening.
I feel like my head is being pulled apart between the eyes.
That's a pretty graphic watch. Struggle is real.
Exercise intolerance. Did you know that there was a such thing as that?
So any medical professionals watching, cough, cough. Dr. Miller, cough, cough. Drop it in the line. Um,
Welcome to Life Rewired. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And if you're a returning visitor, welcome back. And today we're going to be talking all about headaches and the different types of headaches. Hello, Ashley.
hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's your week going?
My week's going fine. How about you?
It's going fine. That's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. So today's migraines, I'm going to put this up on the screen so you guys can follow along. So I'm going to read the different types of headaches before we jump totally into this. Cluster headaches, autonomic nervous system, and we will refer to those as ANS going forward. Sinus, migraine, ocular migraine, and hypertension. And those are the most common types of headaches. Three types that we're going to focus on today are the one that basically I suffer from mostly is the ANS, because I'm going to call it that since that's the long one. The migraine, which is the other one that I suffer from, and then the ocular. Actually, you suffer mostly from
Cluster. So
the
right
cluster.
here. Mhm.
Yeah. I had those years ago due to a nervous breakdown, of all things. And I think that combined with my brain injury added up to a lot of pain. So once I dive into some of these, I think you guys will see the connections. So before we begin, Ashley, is there anything you want to add?
Well, when I first had the migraines, it was a, daily occurrence because the concussion was fresh. And now that I'm 7, 8 years out, it's more of like a situational or stress related. Also, weather, like when it snows, when it rains, that's when it occurs. But I think for you, you're still dealing with this on a daily basis. So it might look
Right.
different for everybody, depending on where you are in your journey and what your symptoms in terms of migraines look like.
And that is the big monster in the closet. And I know here's another Robism. For those of you who've watched past shows, you understand that when I can't think of a word, it gets assigned a word by my brain. But that is how I refer to it as a monster in the closet because you just don't ever know where they're coming from. For me, I suffer from I have suffered since the day hit my head. And mine are a lot of situations. Stress is a big one that will send your headache level up. Um, and the weather. And I know if you have any kind of trauma in your life to the head, you are very much affected by the barometric pressure. When that drops, and I'm sure you feel it as well, Ashley, when that pressure just takes a plummet, forget about it. You're done.
Yeah, so for the people that don't have migraines or for people that care for somebody with a traumatic brain injury, the barometric pressure is like flying in the airplane and the altitude's going up and you can feel your ears popping. Well, imagine that happening in your head. That's what we deal with.
Sometimes it even feels amplified as well.
Right.
Yeah. So here's some descriptors, and I'm sure that this is going to fit at least into one category. If you're watching this, it's going to fit into at least one category. People have said, I feel like there's a tight band around my head. My head feels like it's blowing up like a balloon. I have constant pressure headaches. I feel like my head is being pulled apart between the eyes.
That's
And
a
I'm going to,
pretty graphic one.
it is. I I didn't proofread that one, but it's very accurate though. And
It's
I
all right.
describe it as it feels to me like my head is in a vice and someone's just turning the crank. That's what mine feel like. Post-traumatic headaches, and this fits into a lot of people that's in our group because we met in the post-concussion syndrome support group, and I'm in probably way too many support groups. I probably need to join a support group for people who are in support groups, but that's where I met Ashley, and that's probably where a lot of people that are watching these videos come from as well, because they were in some kind of a freak accident, post concussion. And believe it or not, a lot of people think that to have a brain injury of any type, you have to be hit in the head. You could be in a car accident, and the whiplash from the car accident can cause types of brain injuries. So I don't know if people realize that or not, but you don't have to actually be in a physical crash. Anyway, the post traumatic headaches can be pretty distinct from normal headaches, and they can present in various forms. In some instances, patients will report experiencing more than one type of post traumatic headache, but they are complex in their presentation, their cause, and their treatment. So, how autonomic nervous system dysfunction leads to post concussion headaches. After a head injury, the fight or flight system will tend to dominate. And if you've watched past videos, Ashley,
Anxiety.
yep, recap the anxiety for us.
The fight or flight mode is a result of having anxiety because your brain thinks there's a threat when there's not actually a threat. So then you go into fight or flight mode, or more recently, they developed freeze mode as well.
But yeah, I thought that was important to recap that, especially if they haven't watched the prior program, and if you haven't, shame on you. But that tends to dominate. It leads to another variety of common symptoms such as exercise intolerance. Did you even know that there was a such thing as that? Headache, fatigue, memory problems, sleep disturbances, and more. Yeah, Ashley, you have the memory problems too, right?
Yes, I just forgot to raise my hand for that.
The two systems that control your functioning, okay, and your reasoning. So
Hmm.
say you're a dish drops on the floor. A normal typical person's going to go, "Oh, it was just a dish dropping." Okay? But when you have these uh the ANS, which is the autonomic nervous system, when that is out of balance, your recovery rate is not like, "Oh, that was just a dish." It could take minutes, hours to even calm down because it raises your anxiety to way up here. So it takes it a long time to come back down. Where a typical person's just like, "Oh, that was a dish."
If I understand correctly, there are two systems that regulate our body functioning. So it's
Correct.
the ANS and
PNS.
PNS because I can't pronounce them.
Right.
So basically, after you have a brain injury, they become dysregulated. And an example of that was if me and my husband were in the kitchen and he accidentally dropped a dish, he would go, "Oh, I dropped a dish." Meanwhile, I would jump back and be all startled and probably unsettled for the rest of the evening because it scared the crap out of me. Whereas before the brain injury, I would have had the response he would have had and been like, "Oh, crap, a dish broke."
Right.